start playing up in class and talking too much, and but all that stuff I never did at like the other side. But yeah, no, it was good up until it was good.
So after school, what did you end up doing after school?
So I dropped out uh after the first term of year 11
Mm-hmm.
because I just felt like I didn't want to do it because I
Yeah.
was just kind of derailing from there,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh no, fuck this. I don't want to. I was getting to a point where I didn't want to wake up for school, or I'll start skipping on purpose, and I was just like, just take me out.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to go to school. But yeah, when I left, started working straight away.
Yeah.
Like, my brothers or my family told me, if you're not gonna get an education, you have to work.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
So I left. Started working. And that's when our mum came back. She
Okay.
came back to get me because I was at a working age.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's like a bit of our relationship is not, even to this day, it's kind of like
Sorry, was that your
adopted mum.
biological?
No,
Oh, okay.
adopted mum. Yeah, because she saw that I was at a working age.
Mhm.
Yep.
She decided to come back, and
Where was she? But like,
she was in like the countryside.
okay.
Oh, loud.
Yeah, countryside. We didn't see her for a long time, but yeah, so she came back to get me, and because I grew up without her, I was fiend for like
Yeah.
her. So
Mhm.
me being naive and stuff, I was like, I didn't like. There's a lot of people like, why is she coming to get you? You're,
Yeah.
at that age, like, what? Because you're making money. But me, I was just like, no, I want to be with my mom. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, you came back because I was so. So then I went. And then I ended up running back to Melbourne.
Really?
Yeah, running back to my brother.
What made you like run back?
Just there's just a lot of things between me and her that we just she didn't. I started to see that she really like treat me like a daughter. Like it was kind of more like an auntie, holding that hierarchy
Okay.
place.
Yeah.
So it was more like, no, you do this because I told you so. Blah. But I was like,
Oh,
you've been
yeah.
missing all my life. What do you,
Yeah.
I didn't have to listen to you. So like, and I kind of still had like that anger.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah. And then I ended up running back here to Melbourne
Yeah.
to my brother. Called my brother, picked me up, and then pretty much I was 18, and that's when I started like because I feel like that's when I started my anger started like
Really coming out.
really
yeah,
coming out.
showing.
And then I was like at a stage where I was like, no, I'm gonna do what I want,
Yeah.
because I was 18. But pretty much, when you're Tongan, you don't get your freedom till
Yeah.
your 21st.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, nah, stuff that. But yeah, I fell pregnant at 18, my
Okay.
oldest daughter.
Were you dating like your baby daddy
Yep.
for a long time? Or?
I've known him since I was 15.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and then we're like on and off.
Yeah.
And then when I fell pregnant, we're kind of, cause we were still young, and like, and cause there was some sort of innocence about me when I was like, cause he, when you're like 15 and you've done everything, it was kind of with him. But like with me, I was like, I haven't experienced anything. I just fell pregnant. I didn't go no clubbing, none of that. I didn't go parties. Probably went to one party ever in that whole my teenagehood. So I was always at home. And then when I fell pregnant, like I felt like I was kind of chasing the family that I never had.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
and like we were still kind of rocky at that point because he was still experiencing life and stuff, and me, I was just like always wanted to be around him because like I felt like that was, and my brothers used to always crack it because like I always take off from home. I was like, no, I'm gonna go see him and blah blah blah, and they're like, we don't want our little sister running around like that,
Yeah.
because he's like, I know what he's doing and
They're
blah blah blah.
older,
They're older. Like nah, but I used to always take off, and wasn't until like I gave birth.
Yeah.
That's when he hit me like, why did I go do everything I wanted, because I cut ties with everyone and stopped seeing certain people, and because I was just so focused on having a little family, you know, that it wasn't until I had our first daughter that I was like, okay, time to so having my first daughter was like really weird for me, cause like I was like, whoa, I'm a baby myself, you
Yeah.
know, and cause like the mother thing kind of played again, and I was just like, well, what do mums do, you know? And um, at that time, my one of my brothers and his wife asked for baby,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I was like, yay, but then at the same time, I was like, oh, I kind of want this baby, you know, and because I thought it would kind of fix the problems that I had with my kid's dad,
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I want to have it, you know, and I wanted to experience motherhood,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so that night, that's I didn't even tell my family. That's where I stuffed up first. I
You
didn't
did.
tell my family I was going into labor,
Wow.
and
When you say family, just your two brothers?
yeah,
Yeah.
just them. I didn't tell them. I pretty much we just went to hospital. Me and my kid's dad. We just went, and yeah, uh, like, cause my birth was like kind of stalling. My labor was stalling at that time, and it was going up to like midnight.
Yeah.
And the nurses were like, "Oh, you've been like, you know, since 7 o'clock in the morning. It's now midnight, you know."
Damn.
So I was exhausted, and they were like, "Oh, telling my kid's dad like maybe come back in the morning and we'll see how we go." Then, as soon as he left, probably 20-30 minutes later, I went into labor,
No
like proper
way,
active
yeah.
labor. And here's me pushing by myself, hand like with my phone in the other hand, and just ringing at the same time while I'm pushing. And I was just like, oh no, I can't believe I'm doing this by myself. And not even then I wanted to call my brothers, because it was kind of like I didn't want to hear I told you so, you know. So I was like, nah, I'm just gonna do this by myself if I have to. And then yeah, she was finally born. It was like, so I was pushing all the way till like 5:30 in the morning. All that time.
So
and
you did it by yourself?
Yeah.
Were you crying? Like, frick,
I didn't.
That's a lot.
Nah, I didn't cry until she was born,
Yeah.
and then they put her on my chest, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Whoa, okay, wow, you're actually here." And he still didn't hear me then, and like yeah, about 10 minutes after she was born, his sister answered the phone, because he was passed out, and then she woke him up and told him, and then not long after they came straight away, and yeah, it kind of fixed us, and then I ended up like we moved in together.
Okay.
So we started our little family, and that's when I started being like stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And to me, that I felt like it was so natural for me, even though I didn't have a mom. It was like I loved being a mom.
Yeah.
You know, with my daughter, like pretty much had new outfits every Sunday,
Yeah.
like to church. Like I was obsessed with her. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you know, and yeah, like everything was good.
When did you when did you end up telling your brothers?
Oh, they came like the next day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they came the next day, but they were kind of angry, because they were
Yeah.
like, you know, it was kind of like disrespect to them, like kind of like it was like they felt ashamed to my kids' dad's family, because
That
like
you-
I just went and
yeah.
you know did this massive thing, and like, you know, and I felt really bad, like because I didn't look at it like that, you know.
Yeah.
And in the Tongan way, there's always certain level of respect, you know. And because me and my kid's dad wasn't married, it was very frowned upon what we did, like, you know.
Okay.
But me being young, I just never looked at it like that. I was very selfish at that age, you know.
Is
And
your is your kid's dad Tongan as
Yep.
well?
Tongan, yep.
Did you so when you found out you were pregnant,
Mm.
was that ever a topic that came up? Getting married?
Yeah, yeah. Because pretty much, yeah, the Tongan way, if you get
Yeah.
pregnant, you got to get married, you know. Because we were both young, and he was still like, not kind of like one of the best of both worlds, but like he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And and like I used to hold it to him all the time, like far I had to give up my life, you know. And I used to always hold that kind of grudge towards him. But then like now I look back at it and go, I'm glad we did it, you know, because we were just doing it because we just had a
Yeah.
baby, you know.
Yeah.
We would have been probably divorced already.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, he's an amazing dad though.
Yeah.
Like even though we like didn't work out, we pretty much grew up together and went through adulthood and went through like everything. I can't knock him as a dad. Like
Yeah.
my kids, that's my kids' world. Like they love their dad.
Love that.
So, what was the biggest thing, the biggest reason why you didn't want to call your brothers?
It was the whole. wasn't it was just like I just wanted that moment for ourselves. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of like I just wanted it to be us. In my head, because I was young, I was thinking, oh, picture perfect kind of thing. And
Yeah.
you know, when you watch MTV moms and stuff, and like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
watch the birthing stories, and you kind of
Yeah.
like have it in your head that you think it's gonna be like that, but it was nothing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after she like came out, I wished I called them, you know,
Yeah.
because I was like, fuck, I can't believe that was not a moment for me to be by myself, you know.
Yeah.
And it was I kind of took that away from them because they wanted to be there, and
Yeah.
you know they pretty much like my kid's dad was there, but they were doing the hard yard still, you know,
Yeah.
even though like I was having a baby and stuff, there was still, you know, cravings, everything, like
Yeah.
all that stuff, things that like a dad would
Yeah.
yeah, they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like one of the things I regret in life was not having them around in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for becoming a mum, like,
Mm.
I'd imagine that since you not having one,
Yep.
you would have been so like happy and over
Yeah,
loving.
yep.
Yeah, how was the experience like? Were you just like kind of like always like overboard doing
Yeah.
it kind of?
Yeah, I was always overboard. Like
yeah.
I got to a point where I started making her headbands. Like
Like,
yeah, like I was like,
yo.
nah, I want to make her. Like I started looking at DIYs and
Yeah.
everything. Like, cause I was always home. I was
Mm.
like the housewife and stay at home mom. I was always like just looking for little things because my creative side was like strong
Yeah.
at that point, and I wanted to make everything for her. Like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I was always overboard, like matching outfits. I used to do like mini photo shoots, like on
Yeah.
our bed, like put up
How
the
cute.
the ear and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and then my background. I was so obsessed with her, and like a lot of people would see that because they'll be like, "Oh, she's always like dressed up," and you know.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like showing how much I loved her. You know,
Mm.
I didn't care if that time I was no makeup. I didn't give a shit about my hair. All that time, just wanted to like make sure that she looked good all the time, and it was just like, yeah, I was just overloved,
Yeah.
obsessed with her. Yep.
Even with my nephews, like I'm very close with them.
Yep.
And I always like find myself doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it might be something so small,
Yep.
and I'm like, nah, watch out for him.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
like his feet's cold, get the socks.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you know what I mean. And
He's that
thing,
overboard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. and everyone's
Yeah.
like, relax,
Relax,
he's
yeah,
alright. Let him get dirty and play outside.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like that with her, but the other two, nah. Like, cause she was my first, I was like, knew everything, like, we were matching everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, the kid's dad used to get, like, he used to crack it because he used to finish work, come home, play game, and then, like, he'll try to sleep for work, but I got the light on in the room because I'm in the corner, like, making her headbands and stuff. And he's like, wait, man, you look like a
The
crazy person.
scientist.
Yeah, he's like, go to sleep, like, come to bed. And I'm just like, wait, I got this idea in my head.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, and then when I make it, he'll be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I was,
Yeah.
my like fun for me was going to Spotlight to go get material to make her
Yeah.
stuff. You know, that was fun for me. So like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty much her. Yeah.
And
That's
Mo was,
fun.
yeah, that is. Sorry.
Yes. So how long were you and your partner together before things
Well,
started getting rocky?
We were together for almost a decade, so
Yeah.
9 years.
Shit.
Yeah, 9 years, 3 kids later.
Mm-hmm.
9 years, and I feel like even though that was bad, I can't regret that.
Yeah.
You know, even though we didn't get married and didn't work out, I feel like if I regret that, then I regret my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like even though a lot of people are like, oh, you know, this that, I'm like, nah. I'm grateful that we went through it because it
Mhm.
wasn't just someone that like I basically grew with him. You know, we faced every hardship in adult life together. We taught each other things, and I feel like that's why we're good now. We have a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, we have our days where we're like, where we dig at each other and stuff. But that's when we're thinking about ourselves and not our kids.
Yo.
But I feel like that's one thing with co-parenting is that you always have to think about your kids.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause there's so many, a lot on my Instagram. Like, there's a lot of young moms or like single moms. They always
Mhm.
write to me and they're like, "How do you have a healthy relationship with your kid's dad?" To me, I always say, just think about your kids.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
I could hate him to the ends of the earth, but I could never deny my kids of their dad.
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow up with my parents.
Yeah.
So just knowing the hurt that I went through, I never want to put that on my kids.
Yeah.
You know, if maybe he was bad to me or I was bad to him, but to the kids.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well said. I think way too often,
Yep.
you know, kids are getting used as weapons, as we've seen.
Yep.
You know, the men's suicide numbers,
Yeah.
you know, climbing.
That's hard. Yeah.
A lot of situations like that. Yeah, so that's good. You're kind of giving knowledge to all the young ladies
Yeah.
out there and the young men as well if they're asking.
Yep.
Yeah, and also when things got bad with you and your partner, was there a stage like where for a long time it wasn't going good, but you didn't want to see what happened to you
Yep.
happen to your household?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that like I remember sharing a part of it on my Instagram where I didn't want my kids to come from a broken home. So I
Yep.
felt like that was my number one mission being a parent. I was like, nah, no way. Like I came from that. I don't want my kids to go through that. But as I got older, I kind of seen that we were starting to become different. Like kind of like, oh, we're not enjoying the same things as we used to when we were young.
Yeah.
We're like, you know, kind of like experiencing the world, but because we were so young when we got together, we didn't have like we didn't go out clubbing and we didn't see the world, so there was no temptation around and stuff.
Yeah.
But as we got older, I was like, whoa, okay, we're not the same as we used to when we were young, and we're having our problems are getting stronger and stronger, and we're starting to like drift. And the only times we were like good is when I was pregnant and you know we was about to have our next kid. But I feel like us trying to fix it, the problems were still there. We kept sweeping it under the rug because we were having kids more. So but yeah, like I can't say that it's always been him that's done bad. I've done bad as well. Like you know, 9 years I've done my dirt too, but I felt like I kind of held on all the time because I didn't want my kids to do it. Like I was like, nah, okay, all right, I'm gonna try fix it, but it just like things happen and it's like, oi, nah, you gotta. There's a point where you gotta cut it. But yeah,
and what's some advice that you could give these not just younger, but like anyone in general that's they're kind of trying to hold it all together even though it's falling apart.
Yep.
Like, what advice you would give them?
There's this quote that that kind of made me help with my decision when I was going through that. It's that kids will rather come from a broken home than to live in one. And I had to really think about that because I was like, if we're always in each other's faces, they're seeing that, I think kids will rather see both parents happy than see them like attacking each other, like, all the time, like in their disagreements. They'll rather, Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
The damage is
The damage,
definitely way
and it'll
more
show.
staying in that. Yeah. So you guys got any questions?
Yeah. So during your relationship with your kid's dad, with all three kids, were you still together?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and it was good. Like, when we're good, we're good. When we're bad, we're bad. So that's why I say, like, things happen in our relationship, but I can't deny that it was good. Because, there's a lot of times where people, like, they tear down their ex-partners and stuff like that. But to me, it's like, at one point in my life, that was my whole world. So how can I deny, like, I can't say, oh, I hate him and blah, blah, blah. Nah. Just...
Yeah, also, could you give advice to people who like that? Like, who break up on bad terms and all of a sudden it's F you forever and then, the kids, suffer.
Yeah. Just always think about your kids, just don't fill their heads with anything. Like, if you hate say, for example, your kid's dad, keep that to yourself, because you're an adult, you can handle it, but your kids can't,
Nice.
Because, like, you could say something to them, they'll go and say it to the other parent, and, it just stuffs up their relationship. But, it's all with, like, maturity and also not being selfish. Because sometimes people break up and they still want to be together, so then they kind of use the kids and, that person can move on and stuff, and they're like, nah, they still kind of hold that thing towards them, and that's when they start using the kids as, like,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Even as myself growing up in situations like that.
Yep.
The pain is way too. It's
Yeah.
too much for
It's
kids.
too much. Yeah, it
when
is.
the parents are like,
Yep.
nah, you're not going to see.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Like, yeah, well said.
Yeah,
Mm.
100%.
That seems good.
And sorry, did you have something? Sorry.
Damn.
So when things started getting rocky between you and your kid's dad,
Yep.
how did you go about it? Like, what ended up happening after that with you and your kids?
So like our oldest daughter, because a lot of people they're like, oh, where's the oldest one?
Yeah.
So after she was 1 year old, she went to his parents, and they live in New Zealand.
Okay.
And
And what was that like for you? Like, seeing your first seed
yeah,
go?
it was really hard, but because I had to go back to work,
Yeah.
because I only had a year off, and I had to go back to work, and yeah, it was hard. I used to cry at work every day.
Yeah.
And then when she finally came for her first birthday, and then about a couple weeks later, they were going to go back to New Zealand. And yeah, just the first couple weeks of work, I was crying myself to sleep every night, or at the bathroom at work. And sometimes I used to do half day and leave, because I just couldn't function
Cope,
properly,
yeah.
And that kind of affected her, because there's a thing in the Tonga way where it's like they feel when the mother's wanting them.
Yeah.
So she used to play up over there, but I used to always my mother-in-law at the time, she used to always call me and say just be strong, because at that time we were trying to buy a house, so I had to go back to work, and we were pretty much both workaholics at that time, and I just felt like it was better for her to grow up, properly while we're working, because I just didn't want her to go to daycare centers and that, because it was the whole trust thing,
Yeah,
I used to
for
always
sure.
watch videos online, and I used to break me, and I'm like, no, I can never,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's an island thing where your kids go to their grandparents and stuff while you try to do life.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
was.
when your daughter came back for the birthday,
Yeah.
was there kind of a disconnection from her to you?
Yeah. So we used to bring them down every couple of months.
Yeah.
And we used to spend 2 weeks with them. But I feel like every time she came back, she was growing older and older, and she was starting to see me as an auntie kind of thing. And it used to break my heart, because I was like, I sacrificed being a mum to, just for that. But I felt like I kind of held that grudge towards my kid's dad, and I feel like that's where the breakdown happened, because I was I felt like he took that away from me, when he didn't, because we both agreed that we're gonna try to get a house, and that was the plan. But because I was missing out on being a mum, I just felt like I always put that on him. You took this away from me. Yeah, I held him accountable, and I feel like that's where the breakdown really happened, because I just kept resenting him
Okay.
for that. But yeah.
So is she still with his
Yeah.
parents?
The thing that gave me comfort, because I used to always want her back.
Yeah.
But she has a good life in New Zealand. I feel like because she gets her education, and she's raised the Tongan way as well, which I can't really do that for her. But my parents used to always tell me one day she'll come looking for you, how you went and looked for your parents. So just she's their world kind of thing. So I feel like even when we try to bring her back, my kids, their grandpa, it was really hard for him, and to me I couldn't do that to them, to take that away, because I was like, I'm alright, and because when I felt pregnant with my son, I was like, alright, okay, I'm gonna have a second chance at this. She's doing good over there, so it's alright for now. And she's happy there. She loves her grandparents. She loves her life. She loves her friends at school, and I feel like I just didn't want to pull her up from that, when I'm not even in a position where I can give her everything that she has back there. So I feel like as a parent, you always have to think about them, So as hard as it was for me, I still want her to have a good life, no matter what that means.
And with your second, so you had a son?
Yep.
And how was that like with you?
Yeah, it was good. Like, there's a inside joke that I have in my family. They call me like the Kylie Jenner. Do you remember when she disappeared and then all of a sudden she was pregnant?
She was pregnant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I did. So I did that with both the younger two.
Yeah.
But my family knew, but no one else did.
Yeah.
I pretty much hid it from the world. I was still on Instagram, posting my makeup videos, but like the screen's there, but the belly's like, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden I post about my kids, and they're like, "The hell is this girl just pop a baby?" And like, what the hell? But yeah, with my son, it was different. And
How old were you with your son?
I was 24, 25 when I had my son. So it was a massive gap between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with my son, he was also meant to go to my brother because he was going through that stage where they were like almost 40 and still no kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, because by that time we were in and out, breaking up and stuff all the time, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna have my kid again in a that kind of environment. So I kind of said to them like, maybe you guys can have this child. But yeah, when I had my son, I was like, hell no. Like, this is my boy. I've been waiting, like, I always wanted sons. Like, I wanted a lot of sons. And when I finally had him, and with that pregnancy, I was still working.
Yeah.
That's when I was doing my I went professional with my makeup stuff.
Nice.
And I didn't want people to know that I was pregnant, because then I wouldn't get jobs,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I hid it all the time. And yeah, when I had my son, it was just like, wow, I missed this feeling, you know, like I wanted to, because I'm only raised my daughter till she was 1, and then she went, like, so I felt like I just missed out on a whole, the raising them. But yeah, my son is like my world. No offense to my girls, but yeah,
Those
mama's
boys.
boy, mama's boy right there.
And then your last seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my last one, because a lot of people get confused because I was always on social media, and they saw when I had her, and then they were like, "Why isn't she in the photos with your son? We never see her." And yeah, so by then, me and what's it called? Yeah, me and my kid's dad was were like in the stages of we're going to end for good kind of thing.
And were you heavily pregnant at the time?
Yeah. I
Damn.
was, man. And people didn't know I was carrying her until my son's first birthday.
Yeah.
And I was in labor at his birthday.
His first
Yeah,
birthday.
his first birthday.
Damn.
So I went into labor on a Friday. My son's birthday was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, go to the hospital. What are you doing? And I was like, nah. I want to be there for my son's birthday. I'm not missing it yet. I was like, nah. And I just sit there just like, trying to push on. Like it was coming, and they're like, bro, this girl, man, she just never. And yeah, so we went to the birthday. Everyone's like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we need you. I'm like, right now. And like we had the hospital bag and everything in the car. I was like, let's do this birthday. I want my son to have a good birthday, and then I'll go and pop this baby. But Mother's Day was on the next day, Sunday.
Yeah.
My kid's dad took me out Mother's Day. We came back that night, and then the next day I couldn't handle it anymore, because I was like, I just want to go to hospital, have the baby and thing. I don't want to, I hate hospitals.
there,
Like I was like, no, I don't want to go stay there. And then it was funny because like I was going through really bad contractions with this one. All my the other two was fine. I cruised both of them. This one, I was like, someone just fucking break my back, It was like, oh, I just want to die. But while I was going through my contractions, he was playing PS4, like NBA, and he was obsessed with that. Yeah, and his mom's like, bro, can't you see your missus is about to give birth on that couch? Like, can you go? And he was like, one more game. And I was like, oh, bro, I might as well just start walking to the hospital. So we went, and then yeah, that was another long labor, like stalling, push, stalling. And then yeah, when I finally had her, my kid's dad didn't know that what I was about to do, like give her away kind of thing. But I had it, So
So
yeah.
So you've already arranged Or
wasn't
like
so much like
spoken?
In
yeah
your
we
mind,
yeah
yeah.
in my mind I was like I'm not ready to because my son's still young.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel like I could handle both of them,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and because we weren't really together at that time,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, bruh, this is not it. And because I was seeing that, so my brother had 2 miscarriages, and then my auntie in Tonga, she was meant to have their next child, and that child was a stillbirth, and that was like a month before I was about to give birth. So watching that,
Heavy,
I was like, oh, bro, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh no, I'm not gonna give you this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You know? So I had it in my head already, and that birth was like the worst,
Yeah.
cause yeah, like after I had her, he wanted to go home to like freshen up and stuff, go get her stuff, and then as soon as he left, my brother and his wife, about 5 minutes later, they
Yeah.
came in,
Yeah.
and I was like I already kind of gave them the idea that they were gonna have her,
Mhm.
so they were like in there, you know,
Okay.
they were like in there, like seeing her and stuff, and I kept going in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, see, I have to slow these words, these like big words, because you know, and I was just like blacking out here and there, and then I could see like just the shadow of them, and I was just like, my brother looked at me and he goes, "Wow, you look like crap right now." I was like, oh. And then he was like, "Oh, we'll leave you to it and we'll go get baby stuff and then we'll
Yeah.
come back." And then that was the last thing I heard, and then I just blacked out.
Yeah.
And then so I woke up, and like I had the tubes and everything, and I was just
Yeah.
like, "The hell?" And they were like, "Oh, you lost a lot of blood." Yeah, and your uterus didn't contract properly. So basically, after I had my son, 3 months later, I was already carrying my daughter.
Oh,
So it didn't heal properly, like
Yeah.
at that time. So I shouldn't have even been like alive or had her properly, you know. And that explained why my contractions were
So
that bad,
So
yeah.
bad and
Yeah.
different from the
Yeah,
two
from the other
experiences.
two.
Yeah.
Because when I was going through those contractions, I was literally breaking my kid's dad's hand,
Yeah.
arm, like I was punching him.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Fa, you're lucky you're giving birth right now," because you know. And yeah, so that's the thing that people don't get with pregnancies. Like, it's basically life and death. You know,
Yeah.
you just think that you carried them from 9 months, pop
Yeah.
them, that's it. They don't tell them that it's like, you know, you're basically either you won't make it or the baby won't make it. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
You're in
always.
control of
Yeah.
2 lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was like, so what does that mean? And they were like, we need you not to have back-to-back pregnancies like that. You know, give yourself a break. Also, we have to retract your uterus.
Mhm.
And I was like, what does that mean? You know, I
Yeah.
thought I was going to go into surgery. And they were like, we're going to put you in a machine that's going to contract it, but you're going to feel the like contractions like you're giving birth again. So I had to do that for 2 days. 2 days I was on that machine, did it probably 2-3 times
A
during the
day?
day. Yeah.
Shit.
So I was just like hating life at that point. I was
Yeah.
like, I just gave birth, almost died, and now you want me to go through it. So I was like, wow, you know. And it was funny because visitors started coming, and they didn't know that I was going on the machine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they came, the first lot, and I was just like, like, you know, I was just like, oh, because the machine was happening and they
Yeah.
didn't know, and they were just like, what's wrong with you? And I was just like, oh no, I'm just giving birth again and again. But yeah, that was crazy. Like, when that happened, I was like, I never want to have kids again.
Mm.
But I love pregnancy, and I love, you know, I want,
Yeah.
if I could, I would have 10 kids if I wanted
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I feel like I take after my mum like that, you know, the rugby team, and you know. But yeah, that just scarred me for life. That one.
So when your kid's dad left and
Yep.
came back, when did you find out?
We didn't really have that conversation,
Yeah.
even at the hospital.
Oh really?
I think maybe until like he seen that my brother's wife and that was coming, and they ended up naming her. That's when he kind of got the hint, like,
yeah.
oh, okay. And I really feel bad because like I didn't give him that chance or the heads up. But
Yeah.
because I felt the way I did with my brother, seeing that, like, I just didn't have the heart. Like, I was
Yeah.
kind of stuck in the middle kind of
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Mm.
I didn't know how to tell him, and I didn't know how to tell them. So it was just like, kind of like, yeah. It wasn't until a bit after then he came and gave his blessing.
Okay.
So like, yeah, that was.
Was he like real hurt and upset?
Yep, it was definitely hurt and upset, and I understand
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's like a massive like
Yeah.
because, but yeah, but because he knew my brother and
The situation.
yeah the situation, he kind of just said to me, you should have told me, because then I would have understood. Because I was in my head, I was like, how, like, I'm gonna disappoint someone,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to make that decision,
Mhm.
but it was definitely something I should have spoke about.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that's why I really appreciate him, because he could have easily said no,
Yeah.
and then my
Yeah.
brother couldn't have had that,
Yeah.
But that's why I appreciate him a lot. Like, he's done a lot for my brother, so I feel like that's where the respect also stands as well.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people can just like, oh yeah, he's this, that, whatever. They'll say whatever they want about them. Even days where I don't even like him, but I'm like, but he did that for
All
my
that
brother.
good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the good always outweighs the bad when
Yeah,
it comes to him.
Yeah. With
So,
your brother and his partner,
Mm.
so they raised your lassie?
Yep.
Like, yeah.
So she's 2 years old now. And yeah, pretty much from the hospital. But like, with that, like, it was like, the first night in hospital, it was just really like, I was kind of having like flashbacks from my first kid.
Yeah.
And with me, I knew that if I was to hold her and feed her and stuff, I'll get attached,
Yeah.
So it was really hard, because like the first night she was crying, and but my brother and that got formula, so I didn't have to do the whole breastfeeding and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was just hard, because like I wanted to pick her up a lot, and
Yeah.
like hold her and
For
stuff, but
sure.
like, just you carried this baby for 9 months, and then you're like, you have a night with that baby and it's gone the next
Yeah.
day. But the thing is, like, we were living together. I moved back home, so I was like living with them.
Oh,
So
okay.
So to me,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's not gonna be that bad this time, because I'm gonna
You're
see her
around,
every
yeah.
day,
Yeah.
And but the hard thing was, my oldest daughter was there for that and she was holding her, and then she's like just obsessed with her, and
Yeah.
it's just,
She could feel that.
she could
connection
feel
in a way.
the sibling
Mhm.
thing, and like, it was just really hard for me as a mother to look at that, like, they're too young to understand what's, and it was kind of like, didn't want to tell her, no, that's your cousin, kind of put that thing yet, because they're still young. They're gonna be like, what? But yeah, that first night I'll never forget it, because I just laid there and I just cried, but turned the other way, because I
Yeah.
couldn't look at her. Like, it was just like, I knew for sure if I was to pick her up and nurse her and stuff, I was like,
Gonna get that attachment.
by the time they come to the thing, I'm like, this is my baby,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to break my brothers like that. So like, I was just like, nah, just soldier on,
Have to do what I
have to
do.
do what you
Yeah.
have to do. And then from then I was like, this is probably how my mum felt when she had me, and
Yeah.
then I had to go. So the same sacrifice she made, it's something that like I can do it. She could do it, I could do it. But yeah, when that happened, it was just, I just had to replay everything that my brothers did for me. Like, to be honest, I feel like my brothers could have been, because they were doing rugby at the time,
Yeah.
and they were having like contracts and stuff, and if it wasn't for the breakdown and them having to raise me, they could have been in different places, high up there and stuff, living better lives. So I felt like that was me paying them back in
Yeah.
some sort of way, like with that. And I don't think anyone could do that for them. Like, they did IVF, all of that.
Wow, they really
Um,
went through a
They
lot.
went through it,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
because I was always there to watch everything, I was there for every time they lost a baby. And
Yeah.
to me, I was just like, far, here I am popping out kids in not good situations, and these guys are like praying for it all the time. And I
Yeah.
just thought to myself, there's people out there who, not saying bad parents,
Yeah.
but like, they don't see that, because they're
Yeah.
like, they take their kids for granted, when there's people out there who pray for
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
know,
Man,
because
I really feel for your brother, man.
yeah, it was hard for me to like always. I remember it was about a month before they were gonna go to Tonga to go get the baby that my auntie was meant to have for them,
Yeah.
and because I was carrying at that time, and I was a month away too, and then they got the phone call that it was a stillbirth, and when I saw my brother, to me it was like he didn't want to live anymore, because it was like he's uncle, though the uncle that he is to my kids, he's basically like their dad.
Yeah.
Like my son calls him dad all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like far out to see that, and then that's what made my decision, you know, because I was like, I can have more kids, you
Yeah.
know, but he can't, like,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to just look at him, just try to father my kids, but knowing that he wants to be an actual
Yeah.
dad, you know, and I'm glad because like when I did give them the youngest one, he took a year off work.
Oh,
Yeah, so the
wow.
wife ended up going to work and he stayed home and was a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was single parent by that time, so I had to go back to work too. So it was good because he watched my son during the day while I was at work, and then I'll come back and I'll take over. But yeah, that's the thing with us three. It was sacrifice. We all just,
100.
between us three, we sacrificed anything. Like
Yeah.
there was no question about it, no ifs. Like we'll legit just drop everything for each other. Like yeah, my brother's wives, they always go to me like, I wish your brothers treated us like the way they treat you, because you one phone call,
Yeah.
oh no, my sister needs me. No,
Yeah.
you know, like both
Man,
them.
I love that.
Takes them 3 business days to do stuff, you know, their wives. It's like, oh, they say something, nah. As soon as you call,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta go. My sister needs, yeah.
Man, I love that. Like,
Yeah. So that's why that bond is
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Like the way you all like hold each other
Yep.
like high.
yeah.
Like I love it, man.
Mm.
It's so good. And
Yep.
so just with your other siblings,
Yep.
when did they start coming into your life?
I feel like probably when after 18 I started having connections with them, but it wasn't like wasn't until I finally went up to New Zealand, like when I was 23, and then that's when I got to know them. But it felt at some point it felt like home, because I was like, wow, there's so much of us around, you know, and having sisters, it was, but at the same time it was really bad because I was always fighting with them, because
Oh,
I
really?
was the princess to my brothers, you know,
Yeah.
in my family, and then I went there and I'm like, oh, there's too many of us to, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was always like trying to pull my spot in the family, and then like, yeah, just felt like but now that I'm much older now, like we're pretty tight,
Yeah.
like me and my little brothers. But yeah, it's still the same with them. I'm closer to my brothers than, you know,
The
than my
girls,
sisters,
yeah,
even
yeah.
though there's 5 of them there. It's like yeah, I'm still closer to my brothers.
Yeah, and what was it like seeing your siblings, like, you know, you can see a
Together,
clear
Yeah.
resemblance of
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, it was really weird, like especially seeing my sisters. They're just looking at each other and it's just like, what the
Yeah.
hell? You know, it was just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
every time we took photos together, we're like, well, you look like you, and like we all just like have bits of each other.
Yeah.
And like our mom used to love seeing us 4 together, because she was like, I've never thought I'll see the day seeing my 4 daughters.
Together.
Yeah, and she didn't get it like remarried, like that's, so she had the first 8, so 4 boys, 4 girls, and then our dad got remarried and had the rest.
Ah, yeah.
So but like, yeah, they have a good structure as well. They're all blended. Like, but with me, when I first went there, I was kind of I didn't like them kind of thing, the
Yeah.
other ones,
Okay.
like the my step brothers and sisters. But that was my mindset then. I was still like, no, I want my own siblings, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And then but I'm close with all of them now, like,
Yeah.
and my mum used to always tell me like, you can't come from there and try to change things over here, because we spent that time putting our kids together and loving each other like first, like blood brothers and sisters, you know,
Yeah.
no half, there's no half like thing. So that was good for me, because they kind of changed my mindset,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I always found that a bit weird. When